Here.
Adair? Morrow?
Here.
Crawford?
Here.
Nichols?
Here.
Hamilton?
Okay, item number 3, approval of minutes of regular meeting held. I don't have those in my packet.
No, I didn't include those in the packet, so I apologize. I'll have to skip that. I'll include them on the next, both of the previous meeting and this meeting, I'm sorry.
Okay. Item number 4, reports from staff. The inspector's report.
All right. Back once again. So it's actually been busy still within the inspector side of it. Still doing about 80% of the day city inspector with, we got quite a few residential projects that are going on, which is good to see. They've already started on the house that you guys approved in the last meeting down here on Flynn Street. Looks pretty nice so far. Going really good. Still moving on some commercial property builds on that have been talked about. Did get one phone call, an inquiry about a marijuana grow facility in the city limits. Since the last meeting, wanting to take a part of a motel and turn it into that space. Wanted to know if that could be possible within the regulations. So had some conversations on that. I've been out, I think I've done about 20 yard violations. If you've seen the yellow signs out on 4-foot pegs on property. Right now, I'm basically putting those signs on people's property that have filed written complaints. I'd rather have a written complaint on the property of the neighbors around, just because I don't have time to go drive Alva all day long to do that. But there is several that came in today that I need to look at. And what we've been doing is I'd go out and photograph them, place the stake, start the files on it, start the process. Generally get phone calls from those property owners pretty quick on those properties to see what they have to take care of. That's whether it be their yard in particular or just high piled junk. Been getting more complaints on the salvage yards on Fair Street and the roads. So looking at what we have to do with that. Previous city inspector was dealing with that, and I got to figure that stuff out. But that's pretty much it on the inspector's report. We did, I guess it is to say, we did pass the existing building codes in the last council meeting too. So.
What are your signs? What do they say? What do you give them? Like a notice?
There's a notice. It's generic notice of the city ordinance. We've given them 30 days to mitigate their issues on it. If not, then they'll be fined $750. If they don't mitigate those issues, after that, then we'll start the process of sending them a letter and having that property cleaned up and then liens put on the property.
Who cleans up the property now that the crews aren't running it, Bill Johnson?
Our local public works crews will be the ones that'll have to go in there, and they'll just have to fit it within their mowing schedules. I mean, they do have a large right-of-way projects, that they're doing mowing, city property mowing. We have to keep up our own property also, so they're out there doing that, and we'll just have to add that in there with them until we can get our inmates back.
So is there a date on the inmate when they're going to release that back open, or is that just going to be COVID still?
Not that I've been notified of at this point in time.
I can't speak about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll work with you, but I can't speak
Yeah, I
about
don't
it.
know. Yeah,
We would take them as soon as they could be out and work crews.
And I would also just update on the inspector's position. Chief Miller and I have about 5 applications, and we're looking to start the interview process soon, so hopefully he'll be able to focus on his other responsibilities soon.
Yeah, hopefully we can find within those applicants somebody that'll do a good job, and I'll supervise them through that until we can get them certified.
Any other questions? Okay, city council report.
Well, last city council meeting, one of your members, Mary Hamilton, announced her resignation from council. She has just expressed to me interest in continuing to serve on planning commission, and I don't have any, she's still texting me, so I might have plenty of great news. But I don't have any reason, oh, she's on her way down. I don't have any reason to pull her off of this body, so so that won't even be an issue. She'll just continue to serve until something were to change. But the council did approve all the budgets for the general the council general fund, the Alva Utility Authority, as well as the Economic Development Authority last week at the meeting. Brian mentioned the IUBC. And of course, Christy and Charles, thank you for continuing to serve on this board as well. You guys were approved at the Monday night council meeting as well. So that is, I think, all I have that's relevant to your business. But if you have any questions about anything, I'm all ears.
I will add that I have been in contact with the gentleman who was working on the strategic planning for us, and so we're working to get that last round of information gathered up, so then we can maybe pick up that process and work to complete it as well. So I'll keep you posted as I know more.
Okay. Any questions? No? Okay. Item number 5, discussion and recommendation on a request to change the zoning from residential RG8 to commercial neighborhood CN for the demolition of the existing structures, and construction of a 30 by 40 foot steel building for a commercial shop. There are some attachments in your packet.
Does it go all the way to the alley here, or is it just a quarter? Just that corner?
Yeah, just a lot.
Who's gonna do it? What's the shop gonna be for? What's this commercial shop gonna be used for?
Imagine a welding shop. So this application was submitted by Truman Cookson for a rezoning of 4 Choctaw Street. I think it's lot 15 in the south, 0.95 of lot 16 of block 22. It's currently zoned as RG8. He would like to rezone it to commercial neighborhood. His intentions when he bought the property was to tear the house and the garage down and then build the 30 by 40 metal shop for potential commercial shop. What he explained to me is he had somebody that was interested that wanted to work on vehicles and asked if that could be done, and so we gave him an application to submit for a zoning change on it. And then we sent out letters to everybody, and I think we have some people here that want to talk also. And they're concerns about switching that from RG8 to commercial on it, but that's what his intentions were to do, was tear it down and build a shop for vehicle maintenance or type garage.
Okay. When was that property purchased?
Just recently.
Just recently?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was purchased from Campbell Realty.
The sign's still in the building, on the property.
I think he actually bought the property, Chris Campbell, and then he bought it from him. Is kind of what I saw.
Okay. I drove by the property today, so.
I think that was Judy Weaver's house.
I think that may be Mary.
Is that District 1?
Huh?
Is that Woods County D1?
Yeah, that's right across from
Yes.
District 1.
See here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Were there letters of protest?
We did not receive any letters of protest, no.
Okay.
But I think we do have some people that would like to speak.
So I'll let each one have their time.
Okay. You would step to the podium and let us know who you are, please. Your time to shine.
Okay, my name's Cindy Schaefer, and I live right next door to the property that we're talking about. And my concern is if it goes commercial, is that going to decrease all the rest of our neighborhood's property value? And then if you all go and approve it, which it's a dump now, we do understand it needs to be cleaned up. But if it goes commercial, how do we know that it's going to be like an auto shop or what? You know, we have people that work at night and sleep during the day. We have a daycare that, you know, right across the alley that has kids there, you know, and we don't want hearing roaring vehicles all day long, and we don't want to have a ton of vehicles sitting around the property, you know, because look at all the machine shops around town, which they're waiting in line to get fixed, you know, but we don't want that for our neighborhood. Thank you.
You all have any questions of her?
Alright, I'm Devin Jackson. I live at 3 Santa Fe, which is right on the other side of the alley from them. I work out at the prison, and my concern is the noise pollution that's going to be caused by this place. You know, if it's like you say going to be a machine shop, are they going to be out there grinding stuff all day and everything like that? It'd be like she said, the daycare next door, they go nap time. It'll be waking them up through the day. So that was pretty much all my concerns were for the property. So.
Do you have any questions of her?
My only question, do you guys get a lot of noise and stuff across from, I get that's the city, the county stuff? Do you guys get much
Not
noise and stuff from them? Because they got a pretty good shop and stuff.
Well, just when they come out on the street with their big trucks and stuff, but I mean, they don't work on stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, the truck traffic through there is like the worst that we get, and I don't want it to be any worse than that. So.
There's some more people that would like to speak.
That's moral support.
Moral support, okay.
He was here.
Thank you for coming.
I'm very aware of the property.
Would you like to speak?
No. I do like to see it cleaned up.
Okay.
It has been a mess for a long time.
Cleaned up and become what?
It's had animals going in it, wild animals, and the lots just overrun with trees and grass, and it just, there's no any maintenance done on it, and it's just eyesore.
So if it's not turned into a commercial shop, or
Well, now, as a commercial shop, I think it'd be nice to see it cleaned up and stay clean. I like to see, it it would be nice to see a business there, but like they're saying about, traffic and a lot of vehicles and stuff, I think there ought to be I think they need to be careful about that. Cause then it just ends up being a junkyard.
But if we switch it over to a commercial, we don't have control over what business goes in there.
I figured that.
I don't believe. Tell me if I'm wrong.
So, we zoned it as commercial neighborhood, so that gives us the opportunity to, it can revert back to some residential values along with the commercial values in there, instead of going just strictly like commercial business, to where it would have to come back to planning to be rezoned. And say somebody 30 by 40 shop, 1,200 square feet right there, somebody could use that and build a house next door to it if they wanted to. So that's the reason why we looked at that commercial neighborhood. Since it's in that neighborhood, even though there's industrial space across the road with the county side of it. So we kind of gave it those dual options on it. And he's putting the shop there, but he's still looking for that person, to occupy it.
Okay.
When he spoke to me, it was a garage, a repaired garage, that he had somebody that was interested to move a business in. So that's what he explained to me.
Is this similar to the request over on, was it Park Street a year or so ago?
Park, I have no
Park
idea.
or Mino?
No, I think they were just wanting to build a metal building. It
Yeah.
wasn't for commercial use.
It was to
gonna
store
store
his,
stuff
his
in it.
storage stuff in it.
Oh,
Yeah, the preacher's husband.
Yes, Methodist Church.
Yeah.
If it is rezoned, is that 30 by 40, is that the largest shop you'll allow?
that's
I
as
mean,
large as he wants to build
Okay.
on that property. When you kind of get in those zoning requirements for commercial, it's a little less restrictive versus being in the residential, your setbacks and different things like that, and property lines.
Lot size and stuff.
I don't have the lot size, I didn't.
I mean, if you switch it to the commercial neighborhood, it allows them to build.
Right.
Yeah.
And may I say something now, since I'm sitting down, or do I need to stand up? Okay, well, I do know Truman told me before that if it passes and they have like a auto shop, he wanted to go out that long way, the long path, that long strip, go out on the alley and then exit that way. Well, that's a concern to me if we have vehicles going all the time, because I park right there along the alley.
He
where our little house-
wouldn't be able to use the alley as his drive.
I do not think so.
He's gotta use he's gotta use Noble Street as his drive.
I figured.
Noble or Choctaw, one or the other.
So he won't be bringing vehicles out that
Yeah,
way.
he can't use his alley for access into the
Okay.
business. It's
Okay.
gonna have to be off the main street,
Okay,
so we can keep that from happening
okay.
on it.
You can't put a door in back there at the back of the shop.
He can, he just can't use it as his main entrance into the property on
So
it.
if he has to pull a vehicle in.
Kinda like Schaefer's shop that was over there off of, Lane, that would basically clog up the alley. Yeah, we'll make sure that doesn't happen. I mean, you can use it to pull a vehicle in and pull a vehicle out, but you can't use it as your main entrance. So he'll either have to face Noble Street or he'll have to face Choctaw to his business frontage. He'll have to declare that.
So which would be the best for the childcare and the residents there? Which street would be the best for his
I think it'd be noble.
Noble?
Well,
I don't
Yeah,
know.
Noble's probably the most ideal
Keep people off,
to keep people off of the residential street since,
Since there's industrial right
Yeah.
across the street.
Yeah, there's.
yeah, Noble going around there, going around to the industrial sites back towards the co-op and stuff, it's used quite heavily anyway with truck traffic.
30 by 40, you'd have a 40-foot building to pull into off Noble and only a 30-foot off Choctaw by my opinion.
Right, and he hasn't submitted anything, design of how he would actually set or articulate that building on the property, until either the approval or disapproval from the planning commission. So I'm really not sure how he wants to set it.
How long has that residence been vacant, or residence been vacant so far, or is it?
It's been vacant
Quite a while.
quite a while, huh? We've been there 30 years and it's been vacant probably, gosh, how long have you been there?
Wasn't that Judy's house?
Yes,
Yeah, about 4 or 5 years.
yeah, it's been a long
She's been in
time.
that house a good 10 or
Yeah.
better, because she
But-
lived over here on 7th Street,
Right.
Yeah.
then she lived with her
Her
mother.
boy-
And her boy lived there
for a
after
while,
Yeah.
so.
Her boy didn't do it any good.
No.
So, Brian, what kinds of businesses could go in there? I mean, because once it's approved commercial, it really doesn't matter what Truman's intentions are.
Right, it could, I mean, anything commercial.
You can be a retail store.
It could be a retail store,
See, and that's.
if there's a daycare there, then it, kind of limits some restrictions under, some marijuana laws, if that's a concern on it being in the neighborhood. But pretty much anything really anything from retail sales to part factory type style fabrication, pretty much anything.
I'm really surprised that it's not commercial already because of the county.
Co-op was right across there
Yeah.
too, and
The county
I
does
And that's all outside the city limits, to let you guys know.
Is it still?
So everything that's across, all the way back, even through Beaver Express, and then it comes around to Garnet Oil, his fence, that actually starts the city limits on the south side of that section, right there, back to the west. So anything that's north of there, all the way back around to Todd Holder's area and building over there, that's all county through there.
clear the foots, isn't it?
Yeah, all the way
281, yeah.
to the 281.
Yeah, that's all county.
And then back to the west, it's county until you get to David Dixon's.
Everything north from there.
Right. And then you go one block north and North Second Street, that's all in the county.
And basically, we're not trying to cause problems or anything because we know it needs cleaned up. But my worry is if the guy doesn't put in an auto shop, well, what do we do if someone wants to come in and open a Dollar General or something like you say? That's my thing.
I don't think location that would
Well,
be.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
I think anything, a welding shop or something like that would go in, because that's what Truman does, but,
Right.
But once it's commercial and you have no
Control of any.
control over what goes in, is what they're.
Right.
So it'll still look like it does. It could still look like it does now.
Well, I mean, there's.
It'd be cleaned up.
There's,
Yeah, if he's gonna get it approved.
I'd say that
he's
big
gonna
tree,
build it.
those trees are gonna be gone, and a new building's gonna be there.
We have to do some type of concrete and drive, so.
So shouldn't that increase
Clean it up,
property
increase
value
the
then
value,
if it's-
wouldn't it? Clean around there?
if it's cleaned up and a business?
Well, it's gonna
Probably
definitely,
not residential
Cover
property. Do what, Kelly? I don't imagine it would increase the residential property value.
No, it'll make it go down probably.
It won't hurt it.
But it won't hurt it.
If
It's-
it's, right now, if by cleaning that lot up and putting a new building on, it'll increase the value some, yes. Because now there's not a dilapidated house in that area.
Nice clean new building.
Now it's a nice clean, supposedly. But I mean, I've seen Truman's work, and it'll be a clean building.
Is there any restriction on commercial on what they, like, how many cars you can have there sitting and for how long, or?
well, you base it off of designated parking on it. storage, you're gonna have to keep your commercial paths for fire access and different things like that. So yeah, within a sense, it would restrict how much he could have actually parked on the property. But you could probably get 10 vehicles after the building's stored, that could be parked outside.
Well, just a little bit, those of us that are members of this strategic planning committee that has kind of sat dormant, that we're getting ready to start up, we would be basically going backwards in what we are trying to do with the strategic plan.
Correct me if I was thinking the
Right.
same thing. We were planning to eliminate commercial neighborhood.
I believe.
If I remember correctly, the plan was to do away with commercial neighborhood and just have it be commercial, residential, but the commercial neighborhood was gonna go away. So yes, this would not fall in line with that, but it has sat dormant for a while.
And not only will you have one for this meeting, you'll have one for the next meeting for the same thing. Keep in mind.
So who owns it right now? Can we say that? Who owns the?
Truman
I
Cooks.
think
Oh,
Truman's
Truman
already
does
bought
own it
it.
right now?
Sounds like, yeah.
Okay. Oh, it says on
So
it.
he's just
I'm sorry.
hopeful,
Yeah.
Is he limited on what he can put on it right now as residential? Can he not put a 30 by 40 shop and operate it as storage? Or operate it as just whatever? Or
What's his intentions of what he's divulged now?
What he's,
Yeah. Now, if he put a 30 by 40 on there and kept it as a commercial and it was within the zoning and the square footage of lot coverage, then that's one thing.
I didn't know if that was,
Yeah.
his.
His percentage of lot coverage, if he kept it RG8, you just can't run a commercial shop unless you go see,
And wouldn't there have to be living quarters?
Yeah, and the restroom and all that.
Yeah.
That's why I kept us from doing the other one too.
What was your intention of eliminating that commercial neighborhood in your other planning commission?
It was to get the whole town, get the pockets of,
Left sections
commercial.
of commercial out of residential areas?
right,
Okay.
or not, not let it go any farther than it already is. Is there any further discussion or questions? Okay, do I have a motion? Being none, what do I do? Do I table it or
It dies.
it dies?
For lack of.
Okay, for lack of motion. Okay,
Because I mean, what would have happened if we zoned a commercial neighborhood and then you guys are trying to eliminate it? What's it gonna go back to then? Are you gonna go straight commercial
No, it'll
or
stay like
go
it is.
residential?
It'll
Just be grandfathered.
It's just grandfathered, what it's been
Grandfathered
the
in.
longest. So,
I hate to see it sit there.
I know, 'cause if you
but
can't
there's
finish-
also a process to get the property cleaned up.
And you're more than welcome to file those down here in the business office about those yard complaints. If you'll fill out a complaint on it, then we can start that process. Try to get that property cleaned up that way.
And that works, believe me. Across the street, you ought to see it now. Nice.
You're welcome.
Yes. You did. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It worked.
Okay, item number 6, discussion and recommendation on intergovernmental review consultation form for the Alva Arena Authority. There's an attachment in your packet.
Chief, do you want to talk about what this is? Or do you want me to talk about it?
No, I can talk about it. So basically what you're seeing here is a consultant firm for the Arena Authority to meet the USDA guidelines. And they ask us, I believe it's on page 4 of the attachment 2. ask us questions that we need to answer as the planning commission to make sure that this project isn't going to be a detriment to the city, the property, or any impacts that it could have. It also asks for positive impacts also on it, but it's part of their USDA grant process, and we have to answer these through the planning commission.
So we'll answer these questions here, prepare the form, and then it'll go to city council for approval for the mayor to sign.
Okay.
And they sent some brief site maps for you guys to look at for the potential project and approval of the USDA grant. And you have the original, don't you? Okay. Just making sure.
So do we just need to go through these?
We need to go through these 7 questions, and then we can add any comments to the end if we see fit on it.
For number 1, I'll tell you that the city and county have approved a TIF district for the Arena Authority, so it's consistent with state, local, or county and local, because the TIF district is an economic development tool, put in place by the state, so it is consistent with state, county, and local planning.
Do I need to fill this form out?
I'll take record of everything and then.
Okay.
Gives you guys the opportunity to answer this as a group, and then if you guys want to see like the full civil plans, if you want to look at them further, I can bring that roll of plans in here if you want to look at them in a larger scale. As you answer these questions, if you don't need to, and those maps are just fine, we can answer them as we just go through them. It sounds like Mayor Parker gave you guys on that TIF district on it that it is meeting our plans and goals, so I would say number 1 would be a yes, and is the proposal consistent with state and local government planning goals?
Yes.
And then number 2, does the proposal I duplicate, run, counter to, or need to be coordinated with other activities, or might it be revised to increase its effectiveness?
No, I wouldn't think.
I don't see.
I don't see an issue. Why? On 2.
The only question, it doesn't duplicate, it doesn't run counter to anything. I think whatever coordination that needs to occur is already part of the proposal.
It's already, yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
So on number 2, is everybody good with no?
Yes, no.
Yes.
Yes, no.
Yes, no. Okay, number 3, will the proposal contribute to achieving state or local government goals relating to natural and human resources or economic and community development? I would say that would be a yes.
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 Number 4, are there any environmental impacts or alternatives that should be considered in the agency's environmental review? The civil works that they're doing on this, one was kind of like flood zoning, and they built a retention pond. And if you guys want to see those civil designs for runoff, because these are large buildings, And we do have some floodwater issues and some drainage issues, and having the prison there, and directing that water flow and how it's gonna come out of that retention pond, is a pretty neat design on it to handle the accumulated rain flow that they have predicted for that area, within the civil works. So, in my opinion, as it sits right now, and as the plans continue on, I don't think that's gonna have any impact even to Joe Flaming or Craig and Jennifer Schaefer's house, on Flynn Street, that it would impact that in making an additional flood zone to the north.
You don't think it will?
I don't think it will, not how they're gonna direct it. They're gonna direct it through the alfalfa field, is where the water is going to go, and then be the south ditch, east and west, to curve it back towards the river on the original drainage.
So they're gonna go
We take it like northeast?
Northeast, yeah.
Back corner?
It's gonna go across the field. There will be some that's gonna go back to the west, to the original drainage back there, but most of it's gonna go northeast. It's how the civil drawings are set right now.
Well, what's that blue line? And then, throw that one in too. Exhibit 1.
Is that the county?
Where does that blue line run across?
It goes through the industrial site, goes in there right about where peak environment.
It's an actual water line, I think.
Is that a water line or what
Not
is that?
actual
What
line,
is
but
that
the-
blue line? I don't know what that is.
Or where that culvert and stuff is on the roadway. Or that just like shows
I
the
think-
natural drainage.
I think that is a drainage. That's because there's a,
Or that, yeah, cut out.
Well, it goes across Mackey's there off the highway.
yeah, and then peak environment's right there, and then basic, and then red line trucking, and then it goes through,
It's coming off Ritters off the side.
goes through on the west side of
Where it used to be, now
Fectors.
the building kind of cut that natural flow.
So that's the natural water flow right
I
there?
think that is.
Okay.
I think that's what
I
they're
wasn't sure
depicting in that.
what that correct is that thing.
Because now it all comes back down to this one here.
Well, and they're showing it 320 foot off of the side on,
So the water flows across all these lots then, on the industrial authority? Is that what
yes,
you're
there
saying?
there is over there. They do have some drainage ways that go across them over there.
Looks like a couple of them under building.
It says a map riverine featured is mapped approximately 320 feet southwest
Water
of
ravine.
the site. No wetlands are mapped within 300 feet of the proposed projected area. However,
Okay.
the ravine featuring corresponds to the cluster of ponds mapped approximately 320 feet off the site. Excuse me. So I believe that's what it's saying, that's a waterway through there.
And that water retention pond is in the northwest corner of that square. Is where it's gonna be. Where it says site.
Close to the prison.
that 40
It's
acres.
Right across,
Yeah, it's gonna go on the west side of it,
yeah,
and
Right
then
here, Brian?
to the northeast.
yeah.
That's the solar panel field. That's in
Okay,
the, sorry.
no, that's fine.
That's the northeast corner. The northwest corner is the retention pond. I said that wrong.
Okay,
Thank you for correcting me on that. I just caught myself too. I'm like, you don't know your directions. So
I tried to teach him.
the northeast corner is gonna have a 3-field solar field for the electricity is what's been proposed. On the northwest is gonna be the water retention pond.
Is it right by that driveway?
It's,
Right here.
yeah,
There.
that's the retention pond.
And the engineers say that it won't mess up the
That was the,
flooding.
right. That would keep it from anything, and the culvert size that's over there with Russell and Benny at the time, they said the culvert was the right size if they did it that way to continue the water flow as normal.
Quite common.
So on number 4, we should say no?
I don't think it's gonna cause any environmental, as long as we don't have any change orders at this time. And we don't, on the civil side.
And if it were determined that there were environmental impacts, DEQ would probably
Right.
shut it down.
Correct. Or we could, if we saw that it was gonna be an issue, say if the civil plans changed on it. So I would say no on number 4.
No one for it.
Yep. Then number 5, will the proposal influence area growth or delivery of services, including with disappropriate effects on minority groups? Or disproportionate effects on minorities groups.
That's 2 different topics altogether.
That's,
Why they did that
Whoa.
last part in
Which
there?
one do you want?
Yeah.
Including this-
Could we say half yes, half no?
I mean, it's true, the first part, I mean, influence area growth, so you have to.
That's kind of what you want, the
Yeah.
first part.
Delivery of service.
The disproportionate effects. No.
I say it doesn't matter up in our area.
With the information we have available to us, I would say no.
I would say no also.
Am I reading it differently?
No,
I
me
said,
too.
I think it would.
Proposal area growth or I'd say yes.
I'd say yes.
That's what I meant.
I'd say yes on that one, if you want to mix it up.
It's kind of, I'm with Mary, it's a yes, no question. So this would be my recommendation on number 5, since we do have a comment review on there, we could answer it with yes and then relate in the comments on number 5 that we believe that it would not have any effects on minority groups.
I agree.
Good job.
Any disproportionate
And
effects?
disproportionate.
Yeah.
I'd say on there, you guys got your question wrong. Okay,
That should have been a separate question on its own.
2 different questions.
You're a teacher, how'd you handle that?
I put parentheses around both sides and said yes and no,
Or no with an explanation, yeah.
you know.
Okay. Number 6, will the proposal impact energy, resource supply, and demand? And that's going to be a no on it.
Yeah.
The site's really set up for development, and then with the proposed solar fields, they're going to be producing their own energy, clean energy.
Is that all they're gonna have is that solar, or is there gonna be actual electricity lines up to it?
So there's both. So when you do a solar field like this, you have to have, OG&E's going to bring in a metering system, and then the solar powered is going to have a metering system also. And the reason why we have to bring in the supply side, which is OG&E, is if the convention center arena does not use all the power that it produces, then OG&E buys that electricity back at a certain rate. So it's metered twice. It's metered what's coming in from the solar field, what they use, and then what they sell, if there's any to sell back to OG&E.
And if they don't produce enough,
Then OG&E supplies.
supplies, okay.
Correct. That's the reason why there's both sides.
Okay.
At a higher rate or the same rate?
Whatever
Commercial
they-
rate, whatever they sign up.
Whatever they
You'll know by
sign
your
up
entry
for.
fee.
I don't know that. I mean, you could probably talk to Alex Manson and probably get that information.
So they won't use natural gas or?
No, there will be natural gas for heating on it, hot water and different things like that, but as for the electricity for this project, will be provided by solar, subsidized by OG&E if needed.
electricity for sure would not have an impact on supply and demand, but potentially natural gas and water can potentially, is that what you're coming in?
Well, and I'm wondering, does water count as an energy resource?
No, probably not.
Can they drill their own water well out there?
No,
No?
How come?
can't have any wells in the city of Alva. No private wells, according to ordinance.
I'd like to see it keep the dust bin out there on that part of Alva.
Just telling you what the ordinance is
So
on.
the water could be impacted.
Well, but you're right, I don't think that is considered an energy
Energy.
resource.
I wouldn't
include.
I wouldn't classify water as an energy resource.
I was just looking at resource supply and demand, I wasn't necessarily looking at energy.
Okay.
Number 6 would be
So is everybody good with no on that one?
Yep.
There would be no, right now, no immediate impact to it? Okay, number 7, will the proposal displace people or businesses? I think it would actually probably
Increase.
increase.
What I envision probably happening is that once it's in there, we're going to see a shift in zoning out there to where it becomes commercial or residential instead of agriculture. Is probably what's going to happen.
And hasn't that already been talked about at one time?
Well, not formally.
I think we've discussed it in
Yeah.
strategic planning.
Yeah.
There are prisons right in the middle of the city everywhere.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be moving that population for this.
So now do they have to make a recommendation?
Could you make a recommendation to approve the form as,
Okay. Do I have a motion?
All motion to approve.
Second.
all right, Crawford,
Yes.
Morrow,
Yep.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Mayne.
Yes. Any remarks or inquiries by the planning council members? Any remarks or inquiries by citizens? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second that.
I was gonna say that.
Morrow,
Aye.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Crawford,
Yes.
Cornelius.